What's up, guys? Today we're going to be comparing the S21 Ultra to the Note 20 Ultra. This is a little bit confusing for some people because these two phones are the same price. So I get a lot of questions about these two devices and which one should you actually get. So I wanted to go ahead and do a refreshed comparison for you guys in 2024. So let's go ahead and just jump in. Let's talk about the price so you guys can, kind of get a good look here at what the market is at for a used refurbished S21 and Note. You can see we're still at 380 to 400 for a Note, and then for the S21 Ultra, surprisingly it's a little bit cheaper. As you can see, 369, 357. You can see it's a little bit cheaper than the Note, but roughly in the same price bracket here. All right, so let's talk about these specs a little bit more here. So I think the display here on both of these phones play a pretty big role in which phone you will get. So the Note 20 does have a 6.9-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's 120 Hz HDR10+, 1440p, 496 for the PPI, but you can only use the 1440p at 60 Hz. So the S21 Ultra has a 6.8-inch display, so it's slightly smaller, not by much. But it also has a dynamic AMOLED display, 120 Hz HDR10+. It's 1440p, 515 for the PPI. So there's two different takes on the displays. Basically, the Note has a more boxier display, but it is a little bit sharp on the edges, so it's not as comfortable to hold. And the curve on the Note's display is definitely a little bit more aggressive than on the S21. The S21 does have a curve, but it's very minimal. And like I said, it's way easier to hold, especially for someone with smaller hands. Both displays look beautiful. The S21, you can use it at 120 Hz at 1440p as well, so you could take advantage of that full resolution. So I personally think the S21 Ultra's display is better, in my opinion. It's just easier to hold. You can use it at the higher resolution. And as far as brightness, they're actually both very bright displays. They almost kind of look similar when you're outdoors in direct sunlight. But yeah, guys, I personally like the S21 Ultra's display a little bit more, but I get it. Samsung went with this display design because it is a little bit more attractive looking, I guess, especially when you're watching content. The Note pretty much looks like a little mini TV. Let's talk about hardware here. So the Note 20 Ultra does have the built-in S Pen, and the S21 Ultra does not. But what a lot of people forget about is that the S21 Ultra is compatible with the S Pen. So it basically has the same features as the Galaxy Note, which is really cool, but it's not built in. You can buy the S Pen case with the S21, but it's not going to be built in. So just take that into consideration. But yeah, hardware wise, they're both IP68 dust and water resistant. The biggest difference here is that the Note 20 Ultra does have SD card support. So the S21 does not have any type of expandable storage with it. So that's definitely something to consider. They're both IP68. The S21 has a matte finish compared to the glossy finish on the Note, which you can see picks up quite a bit of fingerprints. But hardware-wise, they're both really nice. Like I said, the S21, to me, is easier to hold. Let's talk about the specs a little bit more in the software. So the S21 does have Android 14 One UI 6, and then it has the Snapdragon AAA processor, and then it also has 128 gigs of internal storage, 12 gigs of RAM on the base model. The Note 20 Ultra got its last major OS update with Android 13. It will currently only get security patches. The S21 will actually get Android 15, I believe. So we'll get Android 15, then this phone will get security patches as well. But that's also an advantage of the S21. It has a longer lifespan. And as far as the specs of the Note 20 Ultra, it's Snapdragon 865, micro SD card support, and then the base model on the Note, it is 128 and 12 gigs of RAM as well too. As far as speed goes, both these phones are pretty fast. I might do a more in-depth speed test if you guys want, and kind of show you guys like gaming performance when you do it for a long time and just launch a bunch of apps and see if we can kind of stress these devices. If you guys want like a full speed test. But as far as like your general speed, you're really not going to notice too much of a difference when it comes to both of these phones. They pretty much feel identical in terms of speed. As you can see, S21 got in there first, but like I said, it's really not anything that the average person would notice at all. So, you know, if you're thinking you're going to get like a big speed upgrade here, it's definitely not going to happen. They both feel relatively the same speed. Like I said, maybe if we stress it a little bit, you can see for some, the S21 was really late with that one. But like I said, maybe if we stress it a bit, then maybe we'll see which one. You see, those two are basically the same. And let's go ahead and jump into PUBG here. See which one gets in to PUBG the fastest. But yeah, guys, speed wise, it's going to be, you know, fairly even for the most part. And it looks like the S21 got in there really quick. Now, if we hop in a game like PUBG, again, we're going to essentially be still at the same settings here. 90 frames on both of these phones. You can do HDR Extreme, Ultra HD. They essentially feel the same. I will say that, to me, all the phones with the Snapdragon AAA processors tend to heat up or get a little bit warmer than, you know, the Snapdragon 865 for sure. But yeah, as far as like gaming goes, you're not going to notice too much of a difference. So these are some really good phones for gaming. And again, the advantage with the Note is that you simply get the SD card support if you're really big on taking videos and downloading a lot of games and stuff. Then you have that expandable storage as well. So gaming performance, like I said, not going to notice too much of a difference, especially if you're a casual gamer. We might do a speed test and really kind of stress these devices and see will we get any lags or crashes or anything like that. So yeah, but if you're a casual gamer, you don't really have to worry about that. These will do just fine. Let's check out these speakers. We're at max volume. Really strong speakers on the S21. They almost pretty much sound identical in terms of volume and sound quality. Both very good speakers, so there's not really one doesn't really have the advantage over the other. And when it comes to the fingerprint scanner, again, you're getting essentially the same fingerprint scanner. As you can see, both ultrasonic, they both are very fast. And you also have face unlock. And again, software wise, for now, there's not really a big difference in terms of software. Like, yeah, there's a few things in One UI 6 that's new, but it's not anything dramatic. All the essentials are still here. Samsung desktop support, secure folders, all that good stuff, wireless power sharing. So there's not really a massive difference when it comes to the software experience. So yeah, let's talk about the cameras. So the cameras were actually somewhat even when I was looking at the shots, except for the zoom quality. I thought the S21 Ultra takes much better zoom photography. So if that's something you do a lot, like you zoom in, then not only do you have, you know, the 100 times zoom on here, but it just takes overall just better quality zoom shots. So the specs on the Note, it does have a 108 megapixel standard, a 12 megapixel periscope telephoto. It does 5 times optical, and then it has that 50 times hybrid zoom. A 12 megapixel ultra wide, it can shoot in 8K 24, and then you have a 10 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. The S21 Ultra has the 108 megapixel standard, 10 megapixel periscope telephoto that does 10 times optical zoom as well too. So you're getting, you know, just like I said, better zoom as well. And then you also have a 10 megapixel telephoto that does 3 times, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. And then you also can shoot in 8K 24, and then you have a much higher resolution selfie cam on the S21 that shoots in 40 megapixels at 4K 60 as well. So take a look at these side-by-side shots. Like I said, I thought they were somewhat even, but I think the S21 Ultra definitely has the better camera overall. All right, so let's talk about battery life here. So both of these phones have 25-watt wired charging. They both have wireless and reverse wireless charging. And you would think because the S21 Ultra has a bigger battery at 5,000 milliamps that it would be, have better battery life than the Note. But that's not the case. I think it's due to the Snapdragon 888 chipset, because the Note has a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. And I roughly get around the same screen on time. They both drain the same as well too, as far as standby time. And I haven't replaced a battery with either of these phones. I did a drain test maybe a year ago, and they both actually died around the same time, around 6 hours of screen on time. So yeah, I did a day in the life with these two phones as well too, and they both lasted easily. And like I said, I didn't I didn't swap the batteries or anything like that. So good battery life out of both of these phones. They both definitely can get you through a day. But yeah, so two very interesting devices here, in my opinion, and I'll tell you guys which one I would get personally. I would get the S21 Ultra, especially if you want the pen. You just get the S Pen case with it. But if you really need the SD card support, then obviously you're gonna get the Note, because you can't get SD card support on the S21. But yeah, I wouldn't get the Note over the S21 Ultra. The Ultra just has a better camera. It's more comfortable to hold. I like the display a little bit more. It's gonna get Android 15 as well too, and it's gonna have just a longer lifespan. But I can see definitely why a lot of people like the Note. A lot of people like the boxy display. A lot of people like the SD card support. Yeah, so it's up to you, but that's what I would do personally. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.